Welcome to the Society of Cryptid Hunters podcast. Josh and David are just two regular guys who share a passion for cryptids and our world's weird and unknown things. Please follow us on your favorite podcast platform and consider supporting us by subscribing or liking our show. Join us on our journey as we delve into the world of cryptozoology.
All right, Josh.
Well, welcome to the Society of Cryptid Hunters podcast, where we come to you talking about cryptozoology, UAPs, and conspiracies, amongst other things. And if we know you should be listening to us, so you can find us at your favorite podcast platforms. You can also follow us on X and join us on our Facebook group, the Society of Cryptid Hunters. Find it, join the conversations, and please, we like to hear from you. Your support and you're listening, sharing, all that fun stuff goes a long way to help a couple guys that are hanging out in different states, casually talking about our passion for cryptids and other interesting things out in this world, or off this world, I would say. Right?
Off-world.
Off-world. Yeah, so this is the we're now going to get a little bit more professional in our topics that we find on the internet. But this is now the SCH, which is short for Society of Cryptid Hunters, just so you know. The SCH news briefings that we will bring to you more than usual as we find these interesting articles in a timely manner, if you will, that we find on the interwebs and on the newscasts that we're going to bring to you all in one episode, one show for your listening pleasure. And we do like comments, we do like likes, and we do like you. So thank you for listening to Society of Cryptid Hunters. This is the first SCH news briefings. Take it away, David.
Well, thank you, Josh. I just wanted to say, a lot of people out there, your algorithms for, your YouTube, your Facebook, your Instagram, I don't know what your algorithm shows you, but I'll tell you exactly what my algorithm shows me. And it's stuff like this. Most people that back to it, I don't know what they show you, but my algorithm shows me aliens, UAPs, weird cryptozoology, random conspiracies. Oh my God, I said it wrong again.
Try again.
But yeah,
Pick
my
three.
algorithm is all over the place. Like the only way I could describe it to y'all is a mad scientist. And I show it to people at work. They're like, there's actually a guy at work. He's like, I only see war stuff on my Instagram. I was like, I don't see any of that. And there's another guy who's like, I only see girls twerking. I'm like, I don't see that either. I just see aliens and people getting abducted and a lot of Bigfoot and a lot of the Mothman. So we're gonna get right into it right now, Josh. And
Yeah.
the first topic we're gonna talk about is the declassification of the Cold War era CIA files detailing Soviet clash with aliens who witnesses say turned the soldiers into stone.
Amazing. Declassified. I mean, I'm going to go through the document here, but the document that I'm going to refer to is declassified CIA file. It just gained attention recently. Went pretty viral. If you haven't seen it, you're probably not clicking the right things. You're probably clicking war pictures or girls twerking. So that's what's going to show up. But that's how the algorithm works. So this came up, and there's like 23 Soviet soldiers were allegedly turned into stone by aliens. And this is actually declassified. This is the report. I'm going to go through the report really quick here, David, and just share what was released. And this is from the Soviet government. So this is not, some conspiracy. It wasn't pulled. It's on X. You can find it on X. You can find it anywhere, but it's not like made up or anything. So after Mikhail Gorbachev dissolved in 1991, KGB Top Secret Intelligence Administration, there's some material that the department found that it was particular to CIA, It was reported by the authoritative magazine Canadian Weekly World News. U.S. intelligence obtained this, a 250-page file on the attack by a UFO on a military unit in Siberia. So this file contained not only many documentary photographs and drawings, but there's actually testimonies, participants in the events, and one of the CIA representatives referred to this case as a horrific picture of revenge on the part of extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze. This was in a declassified document, these words, so which is very, very intriguing. So, according to these KGB materials, a low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer appeared above the military unit that was conducting routine training maneuvers. For unknown reasons, somebody unexpectedly launched the surface-to-air missile and hit the UFO.
which is commonly known as a SAM.
So it fell to Earth, not far away, and 5 short humanoids with large heads, and I'm quoting this here, air quotes, large heads and large black eyes emerged from it. It is stated in the testimonies by the 2 soldiers who remained alive that after freeing themselves from the debris, the aliens came close together and then merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. That object began to buzz and hiss sharply and then became brilliant white. In a few seconds, the spheres grew much bigger and exploded by flaring up with an extremely bright light. At that very instant, 23 soldiers who had watched the phenomenon turned into stone poles. Only 2 soldiers who stood in the shade and were less exposed to the luminous explosion survived. So the KGB report goes on to say that the remains of the UFO and the petrified soldiers were transferred to a secret, of course secret, scientific research institute near Moscow. Specialists assume that a source of energy that is still unknown to Earthlings instantly changed the structure of the soldiers' living organisms, having transformed it into a substance whose molecular composition is no different from that of limestone.
Limestone. Yeah, so Josh, so I was looking into this story, right? You did a fantastic job reiterating it.
Oh
So
yeah, you have to listen, close your eyes and rewind that and listen again. Close your eyes and visualize it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So
It's
I
the
looked
best.
this up again because it came across the internet on my feed and I looked it up today because it came across me and I had forgotten that literally almost a year ago there was an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience with Post Malone where they literally talk about
Oh
this
yeah.
exact thing. And I was like, wait, I thought just came out. And then if you look at it, I think that they declassified this like the KGB declassified this like in 91. And if you look it up, like the CIA just recently just stated that it was like that they legitimized that it was declassified, which is also crazy that like the CIA is like, oh yeah, it's actually like real that the KGB declassified it. Like, well, yeah, it's been on the internet for like 30 years. Congratulations. There wasn't a whole lot to it. When you start getting into it, um, I think I've said on this channel, I think I've said to you, I think I've said to all of our listeners that the more that a government entity says that something exists, the less I believe it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I'm sure we'll get into that and a few more topics
and
after
the
this.
more that the Russians tell me something, the more I believe the exact opposite.
Mhm.
I tried Googling it today. I couldn't find it to the life of me, but there is a Russian, like it's the Russian Roswell story where like it's like kind of like the same story where like the Russians like shoot a missile at a cigar-shaped UFO and it gets shot down. And there was bodies recovered. It was a little bit different from this because they like recovered bodies, just like the accounts of the Roswell incidents, but
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
when it comes to like government, CIA, and Russia, I'm like, I don't believe any of it, or I
Yeah.
don't. Or you can do my real theory of conspiracies. If you believe all of them, statistically, about 10% of them are right.
And that's probably true.
Yeah,
It's amazing how many have actually came true.
Oh, that's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole nother episode, folks.
Before we go on to the next topic, Josh, have you ever heard of the Battle of Los Angeles?
Yeah, that was the UFO, a lot of UFO sightings in LA. I forget the year though.
I haven't, but there is a movie that was made after it that was
Oh,
much
that's
more
right.
recent. Aaron Eckhart was in it. I don't care. I love the movie, but if you look at the pictures, I think it was 1945 or 1938, somewhere around there. But there,
42, 1942. It was
okay,
February 24th through the 25th of 1942.
okay, so I was in the middle of that. So they were shooting, literally, bullets at something in the sky outside of Los Angeles in the water. Um, But my
Yeah,
point of stating this is like that's an actual statement that the federal government has put out. And not only is it declassified, but there's witnesses accounts of that time, and that picture is on the internet that somebody just took. Like, yeah, there's something out there.
yeah.
What it is it a foreign government? Is it foreign governments like, talking about each other? We're gonna talk about that later in this episode, but what's interesting about both of these things I just brought up is nobody knows, but it's out there. And why is it out there? What do you think, Josh?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. That's why we're doing what we're doing. I don't know what's out there. If I knew, I would be rich. I would write a
Oh,
book.
well, we're gonna talk about that here in a little bit. So let's jump to our next story. The next
All right.
story is a weird story. Um, the Trump administration admits to a time-space weapon. An AI or zero point energy disclosure may be coming. So basically, this guy that is a part of the current president's administration said that they have a time and space weapon. But if you watch the actual video, I implore everybody to go and watch the video of it. We'll post it on our group, on our society. If you listen to him talk, like he might have just like misspoke, and people just like us, like, oh, we got you, conspiracy theorists,
Well,
like we got you, we know exactly what's going on. Because I watched the actual interview with him, and again, we're gonna post this. Like, I think people like just ran with what he said, because so what they're basically saying is like the US has really great weapons, and I'm going to bring up that the SR-71, um, nobody knew existed for like 20 years before I'm going to completely butcher this, but I think they crash landed before civilians actually knew that they exist, or that aircraft existed. And my point is like, military weapons technology, like the regular civilian, like the day-to-day people that talk to their neighbors, like they're not going to know that thing exists until it's like right there in their face, um like, yeah, we know what a 35 aircraft is, but this thing, I mean, I don't think somebody's going to know that this thing exists unless they're actually working on it, and the people that working on it are signing NDAs that are not allowed to talk about it.
right. So, I mean, so what this is the guy's name is Michael Kratsios. He's the
Yes.
director of office. He's the director of the Office of Science and Technology. And in that press conference he had, he did say the U.S. possesses technology capable of bending time and space. And that was one thing that I think was put up after the president said something about when they asked him about China, and
Yes.
they don't how they don't want to go to war with us because we got weapons that nobody knows we have. Um,
Well, the
the
same
most
thing happened
powerful
in
in
the
the
Cold
world and
War.
stuff we've never used or won't use because of its capabilities.
I mean, in the military, they have a term that says, "Speak softly and carry a bigger stick."
Yeah.
Um, and the metaphor of that is like you don't say anything, and if you have the bigger stick, you're gonna make the bigger wound, obviously. But um, I honestly, when I listened to this whole story and I broke it down when people were talking about quantum time flip and direct energy weapons, which I always love, of course, I love talking about direct energy weapons and how they were talking about quantum
Yeah.
entanglement and how you could like go back in time. I was like, whoa, man, pump the brakes, man. None of that was talked about. And
No,
however, they did say
they,
that
they
like
they did talk about the weapons though. They did talk about weapons of how they can do they control like the light going one way or another, which would definitely signify some sort of
so they did say that they were able to send light backwards in times and forwards and back. And they were also able to freeze it in
yeah,
time. That was that's
yeah.
allegedly that they were able to do. Um, I will tell you, there's also that they were talking about like the reason that in the same article they were talking about how Elon Musk bought Twitter because it was easier for him to be able to talk between Mars and Earth instantaneously through X and because his ultimate goal, I think it's like 2030, it's like 20 to 30 or 2035 or whatever his ultimate goal to try and colonize Mars.
Yeah,
That's one of it. But that
right.
what like the other article I read, it was like that AI could design weapons that we're at the point that they're not letting it out, that AI has designed weapons that and the fact that like it's gotten so smart and sentient basically that it is able to design a basically a device that can go through time and space. And I was like, come on, man, that's a lot. Um,
There's also the conspiracy theory that we already colonized Mars, and all this is just a show.
Well, don't you love that? I mean, we've talked in this on episodes before where one of my favorite conspiracy theories is CERN. Remember, I love talking about CERN. That CERN was turned
Oh
on my
yeah,
birthday years ago. I think it was like 2023, I think, when it was turned
yeah.
on July 5th, 2023. And I think I might butcher that. It might be 2023, 2022. And one of my favorite conspiracy theories is that we are in the alternate reality that CERN created.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun though?
I always
That's
thought things were weird after the totality that happened, not this last one, but the total eclipse right before 2020 happened or something like that. I think everything after that went weird.
oh
Anyway,
yeah.
the one that went through the whole country basically.
Mm. Well, I don't want to get too like Josh. I think we both learned that we are not physicists. We are not scientists. We are cryptozoologists.
Yep, and this
However,
episode has nothing to do with cryptozoology until later.
until later, yeah. I do
Yeah,
want to
so
get
certified cryptozoology, working on my UFOlogy certificate and Sasquatchology. Is that
oh
what?
that's a wow. I would like to get that.
Squatchology.
Squatchology.
Yeah,
Squatchology. I like that.
yeah, and other
Um,
conspiracyologies and just critical thinking, if you will. But I don't know if you're ready to transition, but I did talk about the total eclipse. Seems like UK wants to do something about that too.
yeah, so the UK, have you ever been to England, Josh?
No.
I have. Um, and I thought that England looked exactly like the Pacific Northwest. That at the time I went there, I think it was somewhere around October when I went, and it looked just like Washington when I was there. It was rainy and it was cloudy. I was like, wow, I just left there at the time. However, British food I actually thought was pretty good. They're very uh condescending against the Americans, which we're probably condescending against them, so whatever. So the next topic I want to talk about, which has to do with the English, the UK approved an insane plan to block the sun that Bill Gates approves this same plan. Um, The Simpsons back in the 90s, Mr. Burns blocked out the sun so that everyone would be able to turn on their electricity more often. I love how The Simpsons always predict the future. I haven't watched The Simpsons since I was like, I don't know, probably 98 or something. I haven't watched it
Mhm.
in the 2000s. I can honestly state that I haven't watched an entire episode of The Simpsons in anything that doesn't end in a or doesn't begin in a 19. Um, but I am appreciative of how accurate The Simpsons have been for their futuristic views on how the world's going to be.
Yeah, well, they can spot trends for sure. And I'd only catch the when it hits like a reel or something. I barely watch TV anymore. So unless it's baseball or wrestling, pro wrestling.
They said experiments to dim the sun in bid to curb global warming will be approved by the UK government within weeks. Experiments to reflect sunlight away from the earth will be given the green light by the government within weeks. Outdoor trials could include injecting aerosols into the atmosphere or brightening clouds to reflect sunshine.
Hmm. Yeah,
Experts hope, yeah, expert
they call
hopes. Go ahead.
now they call it marine cloud brightening,
Uh,
which is interesting. It's spraying sea salt particles in the sky to enhance cloud reflectivity.
reflect. I hate that term. Reflectivity.
Reflectivity. Cheerio.
Uh,
Um, so first of
so
all, I don't
go
want
ahead.
to get on a tangent on this because I can get a little political with this.
So
Um,
I didn't want. I wanted to. I
and I
highlighted
won't.
a whole bunch about this, and
Cheerio.
I wanted to ask you, Josh, like, what do you think about all this? And then let's get into it.
What do I think about all of it?
Yeah,
First of all, I think these guys are complete morons. Complete. And anything with Bill Gates attached to it is even more insane.
yeah,
Um, let's go ahead right now and let's start stockpiling vitamin D and start shipping it to them or hold on
yeah,
to it because they're
absolutely,
not going to be able to do anything. Oh, crops? Oh, let's not even forget about crops. Are we shipping it to it or are we charging too high of a tariff now? You know, first of
absolutely.
all, the sun is not causing global warming, folks.
No, no, it's not.
No, it's
My biggest thing is too is like if you think that you as a small country is as small as you are on the earth that you're going to be able to affect the entire earth, like I think that's so funny about humanity that they think they're so united. They think that they could literally change how the earth is able to like change its climate. Do you realize the earth is flying through space at like 90,000 miles an hour and spinning at the same time, and you think that your minimalistic ideals are going to change that? That's so ridiculous.
um yeah. Um sorry, there was I think this is just ludicrous, and I can't believe they're actually going to do this. But um, let me just put it out there because I was vegan for. Yeah, go ahead before I go on a rant because I'm not going to want to be interrupted.
I did want to ask you about you I think so you brought this up to me, Josh, and I thought it'd be fun to like break the ice on this. Like you brought this up to me, chemtrails. Like I never knew anything about chemtrails. I know this is a total
Yeah.
sub topic of this, but because like this
Hmm.
whole thing is about people like putting stuff in the atmosphere and like they talk about stuff that like clouds and stuff. And you brought up, I wanted you to tell our listeners about this conspiracy theory behind chemtrails, not like what chemtrails are, but like tell them about like about the specifically about the uh uh about I can't think of his name. The artist formerly known as the artist.
Oh, Prince.
Prince. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so the chemtrails basically there's just like the high flying aircraft putting out things in the sky which could contain chemical or biological agents. For what purpose? Don't know. could be weather modification, population control, possibly other nefarious activities. All conspiracies. Um, when there's a big conspiracy that Prince talked about it. When he talked about it, there was actually that's actually shortly he died shortly after that. So there's a big conspiracy about that. Um, so specifically, what he hold on, I'm trying to recycle this in my head. So there's an interview I think in around 2009 on PBS. He discussed chemtrails during he barely did interviews, just so you know. Prince barely did them unless it was like at a concert live on TV or something. But uh so he mentioned in it that his song Dreamer was inspired by Dick Gregory's speech on chemtrails and the state of the world. He expressed his concern about harmful effects on chemtrails. He had observations from his childhood, noting how jet trails seem to correlate with conflicts amongst his neighbors, which is interesting. And Tom Petty. Yeah, edit that one.
Well, I will say that, Josh, do you remember? I think we talked about it in one of our episodes a while back that Dubai did cloud seeding, and right after that
Oh
they
yeah.
had record floods. There's a lot of this came out when this article that we're talking about, a lot of people were talking about this, that like the Dubai incident about this, and I looked into it, and there's people that state like, well, there was already a storm coming before they did the cloud seeding. Bottom line is, um, if you're putting things into the atmosphere, it's probably a bad idea. Um, I don't I don't get too much into the chemtrail things. Like there's people like if you on online, they're like, once I got out of the city and I went into the suburbs, I was outside of the chemtrails and now I feel so much healthier. Like, well, maybe because you're not eating bad food anymore, or maybe because you don't have all that terrible water you're drinking, or maybe XXX or whatever problem. I don't think it has anything to
Yeah.
do with chemtrails or any of that. I think it's an overinflated idea. Do I think cloud seeding is a good idea? No. Do I think it's really doing that much? I don't think it's doing that much either. Do I think they should do it? No. I think that's also like there I think there's probably weapons that they can do that they can generate um actual like even like tornadoes. I think they could probably do that. I think there's weapons out there
You're
that can do
just you're
that.
thank you. Thank you,
Uh,
Mr. Rampage here. But no, you just brought up tornadoes, and I was just going to bring up how a lot of these things that we talk about, how you can find them in movies, and how you can see them, and how movies program people and think this is a natural, which is a movie about tornadoes. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it has a lot to do with geoengineering and to put chemicals into a tornado to make it less unstrengthen it or lessen the
yeah, like
power.
Twisters.
So
Twisters
that
movies about that.
yeah, so that made a whole thing like, oh, this seems normal. Let's just go ahead and pump things into whatever, and it should be better. But at the beginning, they put stuff in it and made the tornado stronger, which there's theories too. If and I, man, I didn't know we were going to talk about this today, but theories too. When we talk about the hurricanes that happened this past year and how strong those were,
Oh, I
how they came
forgot
out of
about that.
nowhere and boom,
Yeah.
yeah, and how there's a lot of weird theories. There's like like lasers. People are seeing lasers, and like it almost was like exactly where the hurricane hit. All kinds of weird stuff. So it is what it is. But should you be putting stuff in the air? I don't think so. Why? Why? I mean, but we had some pretty bad catastrophic events just this year alone with the
Quite a
hurricane
lot.
and the hurricane that
Quite a
went up
lot.
and flooded all through.
There's the hurricane, there's
Yeah, and
the
then the
LA
wildfires
fires,
out
there's
west,
the
all this stuff.
Hawaii fires. Remember those? Um,
That's yeah.
but I did want to say that
That's something else.
at the end of the article that I read, it said, "What are the side effects of geoengineering strategies?" Which is what they're talking about with the UK climate change like agenda. It says the drawbacks. Studying suggests that it will have a little to use to reduce climate change to temperatures of the ocean, iron, uh basically like I'm not going to read all this, but basically it states that like it's not going to do a whole lot. So they're going to spend tons of millions of dollars. That's not going to do anything, which we all know. And that's what the last thing I wanted to say is like, I think, and this is my opinion, I think it's all an agenda for certain people's company that they get money from that this climate change stuff that we all know is not really going to happen, that they're getting it in their bank accounts because follow the money, people, follow the money. And Josh, we're going to go to the next article
Yep.
because I don't want to get too much more into this.
Yeah, I'll stop because if they don't really know how climate change happens, I'm not going to bring it up. You can all do your research on that. Stop eating meat.
um, so our next article is one of my favorite things to talk about. The CIA, again, we're talking about the CIA again, Josh.
Mhm.
The CIA claims that the Ark of the Covenant was found using psychic powers, um, and they found the Great Pyramids of Egypt. So basically, they were using remote viewing to find the Ark of the Covenant. And I'm going to get a lot more into it. But Josh, I wanted to, before I get into my synopsis of this whole article, I wanted you to talk about how you and me just read the book Intimate, and we had 2 episodes about Intimate from Lou Elizondo, and Lou Elizondo was a remote viewer, right? And you just met him.
Mhm.
I want you to give our listeners an opinion on what you think about remote viewing, and just give a little a background of like what remote viewing is, and then I'm gonna talk about it.
Right. So just to be clear, and cue Raiders of the Lost Ark here, if you will, the this is all going to be a declassified, another declassified CIA document claiming that this happened in the 1980s, related to a project called Sunstreak, where they had a group of remote viewers and they found the Ark of the Covenant in the Middle East. Woo! Okay, that's probably where it would be.
Yeah,
Somewhere in
yeah,
the desert
yeah. Spoiler alert.
underground. Ooh, that's probably in a muddy cave. That's probably where it would be. So, so, what's interesting is one of the remote viewers described the container made of wood, gold, silver, adorned with images of angels. And the interesting thing I did after reading all this, and you can take this as you will, but they weren't told to look for that. They just happened to find it. Now, this is what's going to be hard for me to talk about because and we don't normally talk about religion or spiritual beliefs or things like that. But I think remote viewing is a real thing. I think it's something that people can tap into their psyche and do these things. I don't know if it's like a good thing or a bad thing to be doing it. I don't know if it's an evil or okay thing to do. So that kind of wigs me out a little bit when it comes to that because people have found um, missing people, missing bodies, missing things, and they have come true with these medium abilities and things like that, which is I don't like messing in that realm of things. So, but is it real? I absolutely think it's real. And I mean, do I think they saw it? I mean, they may have saw something they thought what it was, but it's not like they went and dug it up and actually found it. So no, they never really found the Ark of the Covenant. They just had some guy saying, "Hey, I think I know where it's at,"
Yeah,
and it was in a
absolutely.
document, and the CIA declassified it.
We definitely want to put that out there that nothing is absolutely found yet. They're just stating this. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Sorry.
Yeah,
Keep going, Josh.
yeah. So just like but like it's so it actually matched some theories that there was these remote viewers saying that I like the one here is like it was a wet location in the Middle East with people speaking Arabic nearby. Oh, okay, it's probably where the Ark of the Covenant would be. Um, but the description, I'm sorry, also that it was hidden in a temple in Jerusalem or taken to Ethiopia. There's a couple other places, but I mean, that was about it. I mean, there wasn't much juice to the squeeze of the story other than it is a declassified document. Well, not so much the Ark and the Covenant, which really got a hold of this and it kind of went viral. But it's more or less that like they're really putting out remote viewing. They really said that this is a thing. This is we do stuff like so, which could open up a whole other can of worms for other government programs that's been going on.
So, Josh, I wanted to talk about this. In this, the reason I'm bringing it up, and the reason I brought it up with you, because in the book Inman, Lou Elizondo remote viewed, like he did that. There's several chapters in that book about him doing remote viewing. I think my opinion on remote viewing. I don't know if I believe it or not. Um, but I don't necessarily think that pseudoscience isn't real. Um, Sean Ryan, who's another podcaster, had this CIA remote viewer on his podcast, and like she kept rubbing her teeth and stuff, and like she was talking that he asked her like a bunch of questions about like um did you remote view this and remote view that? And I don't want to get too into it because, like, again, it talks about religion, and I don't want to talk about it on this podcast. But like, I don't know that I believe it, and I don't know that I don't believe it. Um, uh, there is chapters in the Bible that talk about mediums. Mediums is a thing that is in the Bible, and how you're not supposed to listen to them.
Mhm.
Um, I will say that
Yeah.
the uh the article that I was reading states that what is remote viewing? According to the CIA, coordinate remote viewing is a psychic technic technology in which a viewer transcends time and space, to see a perceived people, places, or objects without viewing the believed present. I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess like when you get in like deprivation chambers, and you can like be quiet and praying, meditating, whatever, you might be able to see this. There's a lot about this that I want to talk about, and there's a lot that I don't want to talk about. But like this is crazy. Like Josh, like what do you think, man? Like, do you think that people actually can remote view things, like straight up? What do you think?
Yeah, I just said they could. I literally just told you they could. I said I don't like it, but I think they can do it. I think they tap into something they shouldn't be tapping into, and they do. I believe in a spiritual warfare. I believe that there is a spiritual war going on. So when it comes to good or bad, you can take it as you want. That's part a lot of what I do in my spare time is read about this stuff. But when somebody taps into something else, another energy or power, it's there. And what surprises me is that the CIA declassified this one, and it solidifies and kind of gives the validation of remote viewing. So that's more or less like, do they have the Ark and Covenant? No. If they did, and this like at the Smithsonian now, then yeah, whoa, that's big news. But the bigger news is that they validated remote viewing.
Well, I'm glad you brought it in the Smithsonian because they come into everything that we talk about. Um, do we think that the Ark of the Covenant
Not
is
on our
probably
page though.
do we think the Ark of the Covenant is still around? Yeah, we probably do believe that. Do we think that the government has it? Yeah, we don't know. We have no idea. Are we ever gonna know? Who knows? Um, the power that's in it. I was gonna go into like what the actual Ark of the Covenant is. Um, I don't think we need to do that right now, but um
No, you can just watch Indiana Jones. It's all good.
Yeah,
The
and I
ten the
wanted to
Ten
say
Commandments are
like,
supposed to be in there, and that's it.
and I was gonna bring that up. Like, I just watched Indiana Jones and the first Indiana Jones, which is basically about this. Which you
Yeah.
basically only need to watch Indiana Jones the first episode. Actually, no, Temple of Doom's pretty good too. Tippy, well, so
That's
my
it. It's
favorites
it's not
are.
that long. So,
Have you watched the most recent one, Josh? I wanted to ask you
what,
about
the
that.
Dial of Destiny?
Yeah, have you watched Dial
Yeah.
of
Dial of
Destiny?
Destiny. Yeah.
What did you think of that?
I thought it was all right. I mean, compared to, I mean, a lot of people give hate to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull just because they wanted him to stick to like the religious artifacts and things and not get into the alien realm. I dug the alien stuff, of course, but I mean, there's some real cheesy stuff in it. But you go and watch the old ones. There's some cheesy stuff in it too. It makes it good fun. But I didn't hate Dial of Destiny.
I didn't hate any of it. I think Shia LaBeouf's probably the worst part about the Crystal Skull. I think the idea of it was really good. Most of the stuff that like we're really into, if you think about it, is Indiana Jones stories. Like I love I saw him in the theater. I saw The Last Crusade in the theater. I'm gonna show my age right now. Um and I see that you have a VHS of it.
Of
Um
the Last Crusade, yes, sir. I got Raiders in here somewhere. I don't know where's that.
the all these stories are the greatest stories of all time. And the stories that are going to be completely still be the greatest stories of all time because we don't have any answers to these stories. We're never going to get answers to these stories. um Josh, before we end this, I wanted to ask you, what do you know about dire wolves?
The only thing I knew about dire wolves before a couple weeks ago was Game of Thrones.
So I
That
don't.
all the Stark kids had their own dire wolf.
I do. I'm not going to get too much into it. I I don't know much about this billionaire that's involved in it, and I'm not going to talk too much into it. And the more I studied it and they were talking about Game of Thrones, I was like, I'm turned off on it. But the fact
Yep.
that we've talked about what I wanted to say, like we've talked about this on this channel is we were talking about the woolly mammoth coming back, and the CIA is still talking about bringing back the woolly mammoth, and allegedly they brought back the dire wolf. But however, there's a lot of people that state that
Yeah.
like, oh well, they splice it with like wolves that are already still
Well,
around
do
and
you want me to
whatever.
give you the full report? I have that too, if you really want to
Yeah,
hear it.
yeah. Let me hear it.
All right. Yeah. So scientists at Colossal Biosciences, that's the name of the company. If I'm not mistaken, this is actually around Austin. Um, they announced the creation of genetically engineered animals and they resemble extinct dire wolves. So here are the key points to this. Genetic engineering. They use DNA from prehistoric dire wolf fossils. Scientists placed together a partial genome and compared it with the genomes of the dire wolf's closest living relatives. So take the frog, mix with the dino, the blood from the mosquito, if you will, and that's how they got it. So creation of the pups. So they birth their birth somehow and created. The team used a CRISPR, which is an acronym for something,
Yeah,
gene
it's
editing
kind
technology to
of late.
modify cells from a living gray wolf, creating embryos that were then transferred to a surrogate. Ah, that's how. See, I should have just kept reading instead of spouting off my mouth. But so these were born from a gray wolf or a surrogate, which looks like it's from living cells from a gray wolf combined with these dire wolf cells from DNA from fossils. So they actually had three healthy pups born. Their names are Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi. Oh, Khaleesi,
Oh
Game of
wow.
Thrones. It's the mother of
Yeah,
dragons.
Romulus, that was the
Featured in
aliens.
now. So they resemble dire wolves. Yeah, Romulus. Yep. So they're essentially gray wolves with dire wolf-like characteristics. They're not actually dire wolves. There's some criticism of this, of course. Some experts do argue that these animals are not true dire wolves and cannot perform the ecological functions of the original species. So whatever the plans were for, um, so these projects and why they're doing all this stuff is to promote and support conservation efforts. They want to expand the genetic diversity, potentially aiding endangered species like the red wolf. Um, there are some other animals that they've been working on. You mentioned the woolly mammoth is one. Efforts are underway for that using the CRISPR technology, DNA of Asian elephants with the close living relatives, and of course the DNA from woolly mammoth fossils. There's a lot. Waco, Texas is a big spot. We're actually planning a trip to go down there to see the dig site. So I'll get some pictures of that. It'd be pretty cool. They're going to try to bring back the passenger pigeon. So they're going to edit the genome of the band-tailed pigeon to, mix it with the whatever they have for that. The Tasmanian tiger is another one that was brought up. Displays revived this using DNA samples and genome editing. There's a couple other ones. There's some bear called an auroch. I'm sorry, it's a cattle. Breeding of a cattle species with an auroch. I don't know what that is, but you can find this stuff on YouTube too. It's like you can just search like, hey, what extinct animals are they bringing back? I think they talk about bringing the dodo back. What's so going to go extinct again? It's just weird things like that. And there's also some cool ones. I want to find them. I might post them up if we get enough interest. But of there's people that research extinct animals and try to find and see if they're actually extinct. And there might be some that like the giant sloth might still be alive. This is the most cryptid we got on this episode. But yeah. But dire wolves they're just a mix of things. They created something else that's a hybrid, and we probably shouldn't have done that. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Well, Josh, this is a fun episode. Why don't you let it go to the
Yeah,
end?
so this is kind of what we'd like to do is kind of talk about these things. There's a lot of interest and keep on different topics for everyone to listen to. If you do like this episode, please comment, please share, please like, do what you can. Let us know in the group after you listen to the episode. If you made it this far, thank you. Keep supporting us. We really enjoy it, and keep your minds open and keep asking questions. That's all I got to say.
And
David, it's always a pleasure.
before you go, Josh, if y'all out there, if you're still listening, look at the top of a $1 bill, and if you see a owl or uh a spider, let me know, because I put it under a microscope and I don't see either one of those. And there's a whole conspiracy theory about that.
Thank you for listening. We may have experienced interference from unknown sources, possibly from another dimension or planet. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share.